Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, it's Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and to the Savvy Dentist podcast, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Today I want to have a conversation with you about how to work effectively with your marketing agency. We know that lots of dental practices around the country and indeed around the world work with marketing agencies to attract more patients to their practice. We also understand though that oftentimes that marketing is not as effective as it could be and that there's a waste of money in that process. So in this short episode today, I want to share with you a few tips to help you understand how to best work with your marketing agency, how to get a better return on investment, to have fuller appointment books, and how to make sure you're treating the right patients who come in and value everything that you do for them. So let's just get back to this at the beginning point, because really, before you start working with a marketing agency, it's really important that you're clear about a couple of key things, and it's important that you create a brief for your marketing agency. If you can create a brief for your marketing agency, that's going to allow them to best serve you, because the biggest problem with marketing that I see, and it happens time and again the world over, and that is marketing is not targeted. So rather than try to hone in on a particular segment of the marketing is trying to attract all people to your practice. And of course, that's really bland. It's vanilla marketing. It's a shotgun approach, when really what we're looking for is a sniper-based approach, something that's more targeted, something that's more specific, something that we can really hook into and understand that patient at a great depth. So what this means is we need to have a very clear picture of who our ideal patient is. We need to know who that patient is from a demographic point of view, how old they are, where they live, so on and so forth, their marital status and all the rest of it. But interestingly, we need to know a lot about psychographics as well. We need to know what their hopes and aspirations are when it comes to dentistry. We need to understand what their fears and frustrations have been when they've had dentistry in the past. We need to understand where else they hang out, what other media they consume, what other services they buy. All of these things are really important, and we need to have as in-depth a picture of that person as we can. So if you go to an agency and you say, just get me new patients, well, then they're kind of working a little bit blind, because for that kind of brief, any new patient will do. And we all understand that not all new patients are created equally. So we need to be very clear about who we're trying to attract. Now, the second thing we need to know is the value of a new patient. And what I mean by that is how much are they going to spend at the initial visit on average, and how much are they going to spend on the initial treatment plan. And the reason this is really important is we need to know what our cost of acquisition can and should be at a maximum. So in an ideal world, we want to be having the cost of acquiring a patient to be less than the fee at that initial visit. So that means if it costs us $100 to acquire a patient, just for example, and our initial fee for that appointment might be $150, then we're $50 ahead, and everything that we make thereafter is on the back end profitable. So we need to make sure that we know those numbers. Most people that I've spoken to in dentistry have no idea what their initial treatment is worth or their initial visit is worth, and they have no idea certainly what the cost of acquisition is. They might know cost per click, they might know cost per impression, but they certainly have no idea what the cost of acquisition is. So being very, very clear about that cost of acquisition, is super important. And now equally, we need to be able to talk to our marketing agency and have some goals in place. How many new patients are we trying to attract? How many do you attract now? And is this goal reasonable? If you're getting 3 new patients a month now and you're asking for 300, is that a reasonable expectation of your marketing agency? It's really important to make sure that your expectations are realistic, based on the market, based on the number of practices around. And of course, we want you to capture more than your fair share. But if you're working in a regional and remote area and you're asking for, hundreds and hundreds of patients per month, then, that may or may not be feasible. And so we've got to make sure that the goal that you're setting and the task that you're asking your marketing agency to assist with is a reasonable one indeed. Now, in addition to this, we need to ask you, have you worked on your internal systems? There's no point in making the phone ring through external marketing or advertising if the receptionist can't handle the call. We need to make sure that the reception team can convert those calls to appointments. And you've heard me say this many, many times before, but that reception job is ultimately a sales job. It's a telesales job. And what we're asking them to do is to receive that inbound call, do their best to build a relationship with the patient, and ultimately fill the appointment book with new patients who ring the practice. So we need to make sure the receptionist and the front desk team are skilled, they're adept at this, and they have the ability to help and support the practice in that regard. So furthermore, we need to make sure we've got retention systems in place. If we're spending marketing dollars to attract people to the practice, we need to make sure that they come into the practice and they stay in the practice. There's no point having the front door open wide to attract new patients and the back door open wide leaking patients. So we need to make sure that we have our retention systems in place. Now, retention systems, we could spend hours talking about those, of course, and that's why I wrote the book, but ultimately, retention comes back to relationships. It comes back to experience. Some of the practical systems will be recall systems, rebooking rates, all those other sorts of things. And so you need to be actively monitoring your retention systems and making sure they're effective and making sure that they're serving you in the best way that they can. Now, in addition to a retention system, we need to have a referral system. So we want to be able to turn one patient that we attract through external marketing into more than one patient through referral. And that means ultimately our cost of acquisition goes down on average over time. So if I spend $100 to attract a new patient through external marketing or advertising, and then that one patient refers me to others, well, in essence, I'm now spending $33 to attract a new patient because each new patient is referring me two more in this particular example. So we need to make sure we've got actively managed referral systems in place, not just ad hoc, but we're actively managing that. So again, if you're going to work with a marketing agency, it's really important to have all this basic information in place. If you can give your marketing agency a clear picture of who they're trying to attract, how many of those types of people you're trying to attract, what the cost of acquisition that you're looking to achieve is, and so on and so forth, then you can have a meaningful conversation with your marketing agency. It also allows you to be actively measure or accurately measure your return on investment, and it allows you to hold them to account. They've got some metrics that they're working with, and it means that they're working with someone who knows their stuff, and that means they're going to be on their toes and you're going to be checking in on things, and ultimately you're going to get a much better result from your marketing spend. So I hope you find that helpful. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode very shortly. Take good care. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green. For more free tools and resources, join the free Facebook group. Visit drjessegreen.com/Facebook. And for more episodes, visit drjessegreen.com/savvydentist.